Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and I gotta say, man, for all the smack that we talk about Xbox, they have kept this news cycle in 2025 mega interesting because we got another slam dunk here. It's Halo going to PlayStation. Gotta be real, and I don't mean this like a console warrior. I don't think I will ever get used to seeing that, man. Halo is so synonymous with Xbox. Like, that is one of my core gaming memories. Playing that demo disc of Silent Cartographer. Halo is Xbox. To see it go into PlayStation, I'm just like, what world are we living in? I feel like I've yet to wake up from the simulation. But Halo Combat Evolved is back for a fourth time, if you've been counting. Halo Combat Evolved's base release, its Anniversary Edition, MCC, which was the Anniversary Edition, packed into that collection. And then now we have Campaign Evolved, unfortunate name in my opinion, which is much more of a remake than I honestly expected. Based on the leaks and rumors around Halo Campaign Evolved, I'm sorry, I'm gonna call it Combat Evolved Remake, please bear with me. Based on the rumors of it though, it was sold to us by insiders as more of just like Oblivion Remaster, like a prettier version of the game that you know and love, and I was ready for that. An Unreal Engine coat of paint thrown on top of one of my favorite ever first-person shooter campaigns. Sounds good to me. A little sprinting, maybe a little ADS, all right, like let's see what goes on here. Instead, what we get here with Halo Campaign Evolved is that, plus new prequel missions they're adding. They're turning it into 4-player online co-op. If you didn't know this, the original only had 2-player online co-op, so they're expanding that. They're redoing the cinematics. Like, they're adding a lot to this thing where, again, it's a much more holistic remake than I ever anticipated. And with that, you know, it's Halo Studios, so there's this apprehension, this lack of willingness to give myself over to be truly excited. But at the same time, this is one of my favorite video games ever. Literally like top 50, easily. One of my most impactful video games ever. I talked about the demo disc with Silent Cartographer. I replayed that thing so many times. I think Halo Combat Evolved has one of the best 1-2-3 punches in first-person shooter campaigns ever. Silent Cartographer, Assault on the Control Room, 343 Guilty Spark. Name me a better trio, I'll wait. I think that this campaign kicks a ton of ass, and I know on the back end, especially with like library and some revisits to some familiar mission maps, it can kind of get a little dragging its heels for a lot of players. It's also one of the longer Halo campaigns where the others are a lot more tighter and well designed. Like, there's definitely flaws with it, no doubt about it. That's where like my anxiousness and excitement can stem from with this remake. I'm like, dude, there are some issues that on a level design front you could make better. So I don't want to say I have high hopes, but there are things that, as someone who's a big fan of Combat Evolved, I can admit like these could be done better. And if it's in the right hands and they do the right job with it, this could be incredible. There's already some signs of things that I was worried about when we were talking about Unreal Engine 5 in the news cycle that I'll bring to the forefront as an immediate concern. Performance, I'm looking at you. We're also going to have a nice conversation about art style, but I want to give you all the information on everything going on with Halo Campaign Evolved and share some thoughts as we go along. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, you're into what's going on with Xbox, they're making moves, man, consider subscribing. So it's called Halo Campaign Evolved. It's coming to Xbox, PC, Game Pass, and PlayStation in 2026. No mention of Switch 2, at least not yet. This was announced while the Halo World Championship Series was ongoing. Like, it separately leaked, and then it just popped up on their YouTube channel with a new trailer, a gameplay debut, and a roundtable. Plus, press went hands-on with Halo Campaign Evolved. This is something I had to keep a secret for a while. I knew about this, but Xbox did not want to include your boy in this part of the hands-on impressions, unfortunately. And I kind of get why, because when I saw what was going on with this demo, I went, yeah, this thing looks interesting, as I'll break down, but it also looks like it does not run well. I mean, we saw in the opening cinematic where you're flying in on the Pelican with Foehammer, that transition to like Chief's arm up at the top of the Pelican. By the way, epic shot, like cinematography there is amazing. But when his hand's up there and that transition happens, like you see the frame drop. When you get in the Warthog and they're driving around, you see the frame dips, and it's a UE5 game. They were talking about Lumen in the roundtable. I'm like, yeah, the frame rate is a legitimate concern already. The other thing is, I think a lot of people are going to learn how art style driven Halo really is, because it was like a graphics leader for its time each and every time it came out. So a lot of people remember it like that, but even back then, graphics leaders had to lean heavily into art style because they were, you know, not as powerful machines to build these video games on like we have nowadays. But now with Unreal Engine 5 and, you know, for all its flaws, it's a very powerful video game engine. You see how lighting, reflection, and subsequent materials work with Unreal Engine 5. And there are some games that are very terrain based, like a Halo Combat Evolved, where it's a lot of like rocks and grass and open fields and trees and not a lot of like buildings and interiors to not really help break that sort of stuff up. And in games like these, I think some people see the engine in the video game, and that takes away from some of the soul of the visuals, even if objectively speaking, you can look at this and say, technically by like polygon count and technically by fidelity, this does look better. But I do think the original Halo game looks significantly better. This is kind of the same issue that Anniversary Edition had. Anniversary Edition showed up and there were some parts that looked really good, but for the most part, the art style was lost, and you had levels like 343 Guilty Spark, which you can see on screen here, where the blood and the gore got ruined in certain stretches of the level, which killed the overall atmosphere. Fortunately, that game had a toggle option to let you go back, but in this case, there isn't that toggle option where you can have that original experience, so they have to nail it perfectly. The potential with this new art style, though, are levels like 343 Guilty Spark. Funny enough, that is an incredible display of atmosphere and tension and slight horror and gore and how they can build that up, especially when the cinematics for like where you see like Keyes, Johnson, and all the Marines getting attacked by the Flood for the first time. The cinematic for that has not aged super well. It's really the music and the introduction to the Flood, and you see the Flood having pieces of the Marine armor on them where you put two and two together and go, oh, that's what happened there. But I feel like that is where this game can really shine, is elevating what I think is a fantastic narrative. And obviously redesigning the library so that that is not a pain in the ass to navigate. So what else is new here beyond the obvious visuals and engine? Well, they're adding 3 new prequel missions that they said are setting up the main course of the game. So before you're on the Pillar of Autumn and you wake up as Chief, there are missions that happen before that now. They said this is to increase character interaction with Chief and Johnson, and mixed opinions on this. More content, great. To me, though, and maybe people disagree, and that's okay, I find Halo Combat Evolved to be in that lineage of like perfect shooter campaigns in the terms of narrative structure. Halo as a series throughout the whole Bungie era is known for that. It's the reason a lot of us care about shooter campaigns even when the game has a multiplayer component. It's one of the rare franchises where story matters. So I was ready for them to alter the gameplay experience of this game because we are talking about a launch Xbox video game. I was not personally prepared for them to add their own bit of storytelling here. Now, I love that they're bringing back like Steve Downs and Jen Taylor. We saw that in the roundtable. I thought that was cool to see. So it's good to know the original talent is coming back to reprise their roles and to bring this new chunk of the story with them. I'm just very keen to see like, what do you want to add here? Like, I love the whole, like, you're the X factor in the war. Like, you wake up on the Pillar of Autumn, they're losing, and you are the X factor. What is the need to build up to that? Like, Master Chief is a character that speaks through action, and I feel like the game and its length of its campaign has enough action to show that and to build that. And so what do 3 more missions do for that? Especially when Chief and Johnson's relationship grows in those later games. So what are they trying to do with this? Is the plan to do a campaign evolved for 2 and 3? If so, God bless. Like, seriously, I don't say this like I'm selling them out going, man, they're not going to do a great job with it. But like, if they think people are getting defensive about this game, just wait. You haven't seen Halo 2 yet. That would be even worse. And if you're seeing them take story liberties here like this, right, then I'm looking at things like Halo 2 and the cliffhanger, and it's like, oh, would you be interested in changing that as well? But to be fair, if it does add more good stuff to the game, I know I sound like a skeptical maniac here, and I'm really not trying to be that guy, but like, if Halo Studios' track record was better, I think they showed in Infinite, like, they get how to write Chief, which is like less is more. He's a character that's defined by that. Show, don't tell. Like, he's storytelling in a nutshell, basically. And as long as they follow those rules and kind of establish that relationship in an interesting way, and these missions add something to the game, that'd be cool. Because one thing that Combat Evolved does so well is they add gimmicks to every mission. Like, think of it this way, right? Like, the Halo mission, number 2, is like, here's the big open areas in the Warthog. Truth and Reconciliation, the 3rd mission in the game. Here's a sniper. Silent Cartographer is like a lot of exploration. Then Assault on the Control Room gives you the Scorpion. Then 343 Guilty Spark, here's the Flood. Like, it's always a new wrinkle. So if they follow that format with these prequel missions, then awesome. They might have something here where they can keep adding to it. And the other thing I'm curious about is they did mention in their roundtable they had access to the original sequence documents, the original source material. Like, they have access to all these storyboards. So did they see a story that Bungie left untold and went, we're going to do that? If so, that could be awesome as well. But Bungie also has been known to be a great storyteller in the early days and has left these things out because, again, they always understood less is more. So I'm a little skeptical about that. Excited, interested, but also protecting myself a little bit. Speaking of which, they've added a bunch of new little gameplay tweaks in Halo Campaign Evolved. For example, for those who have not played Combat Evolved in a while, you can't pick up the energy sword in this game. That was not until later. You would fight enemies like elites in Assault on the Control Room or Silent Cartographer who did have those energy swords, but they wouldn't drop them. Now you can actually pick them up in this game, which I thought was like, that's an obvious addition I never even considered. But I'm like, yeah, good change there. Like, why wait for something like that never had to be like earned at any moment? It was hype when you did get to that next Halo game. You're like, oh, I can use this too now. So it kind of slows the curve a bit, but it just seems like natural this should be here. Another great quality of life enhancement already, at least on paper, is like the additional seat on the Warthog. Like, yeah, if you're doing 4-player co-op online, which Halo Infinite did teach us, you know, with the split screen, the 4-player online co-op, like, we'll wait to see if that's actually what's delivered to us. I hope it is, though, because they've now built a gameplay mechanic around it. So I guess at worst, if they don't deliver on this, you get to take an extra Marine with you. And for me, I live and die by my Marines in Halo. I always, as a kid, it mattered so much to me to make sure all of my Marines lived every mission. I was so obsessed with that. So at least you get an extra seat for a buddy one way or the other, but they've built a mechanic around that. Sprinting in ADS is here. I know people have mixed opinions on this. I'm going to shoot you straight. I think it's being a little oversold because there's no multiplayer here. You know, that's like my genuine take on it. Like, I really think this would be a bigger conversation if this was like Halo Combat Evolved in full remade. And it's like, hey, here's the multiplayer, it's back. But because it's the campaign, I don't see an issue with sprinting. There is a level of like, it looks a bit funky, but like these levels are huge. Some people might be forgetting, but like Halo's second mission is like, that's the framework that they built Halo Infinite off of. And so for me, I'm like, yeah, that's a mission that kind of needs some sprinting. Assault on the Control Room has massive wastelands full of snow. I don't think sprinting would hurt there. I don't think it hurts the experience. Again, it looks a little funky when I saw in the Silent Cartographer gameplay, like Chief kind of booking it. But I also think like it's quality of life, and I think it works here, and it doesn't affect like an arena-based multiplayer shooter where like the timing of when you spawn and how long it takes to get to power weapon A and power weapon B is like specifically laid out that way, where, you know, some might be sprinting, some might not be sprinting. It's not that delicate of a balance in campaign. ADS also, yeah, like it's a little funky, but I don't know. Like it's one of those things again where I'm not fully against it because I'm one of the weirdos that did at least like the feel of Halo 5. I don't like Halo 5 as a video game, but I thought it felt good. I thought Infinite even felt good. So I don't really doubt too much the feel of this. But then again, when you get your hands on that controller, I mean, this is the first time Halo's in Unreal Engine, so we'll see. It was reported all of the gameplay would be handled in the modified Blam engine, so it should feel very Halo, but you never know. They remixed and re-recorded the audio, so there's new weapon sounds. And in my opinion, like the Magnum didn't really sound all that great, but they've also re-recorded some lines, which I'm curious to hear how they made the Marines sound nowadays. I always thought they were cool. They've added more skulls in this game than any other Halo game, so lots of challenges that you'll be able to apply on replaying the campaign, which I thought was cool. Again, the remade cinematics was like a big one for me, actually seeing Foehammer in the Pelican, or like there's this one shot where the door opens and you see it's just nothing but darkness, and then the Elite turns on his energy sword and it lights up the room. That sort of stuff is where I think this game can thrive. Again, I mentioned it a little bit with 343 Guilty Spark, like that atmospheric stuff, using lighting and darkness to your advantage that old games couldn't take too much advantage of. Like that stuff is really, really cool. So I like what they've done with some of the cinematics that they've shown off so far. I have no doubt that will elevate the game because Halo is already shot pretty well. And so adding on to that, I think will be really good. But all in all, that's Halo Campaign Evolved. And it's coming out next year. PlayStation fans, you get to dip your toes into some greatness if you have yet to ever play Halo for whatever reason. But I'm glad just off the back of Bethesda, as we just talked about, doing like Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition and like reselling you the same thing that you've had for a long while. Like, at least they are fully remaking this thing. And it's not like, hey, we understand we've resold this to you a bunch of times and we're going to resell it to you again. It's like, hey, we get it. You already have Combat Evolved and Anniversary and MCC. Like, so here's a more top to bottom campaign focused remake. So I'm eager to see what many of you think down below. I know for a lot of us, it's like Halo Studios on site. You're like, I don't know. Of course, we just covered the rumors previously. So it's a mixed emotion for me. I am in love with this game and I want this to be incredible. And I think they should be able to absolutely nail it. Because to me, this is the equivalent of like Nintendo remaking Mario 64. Like, it's one of those, you can't mess this up. Y'all think you've seen me crash out before? Watch this thing drop buggy and broken. Watch how bad I get. That's my point. And why I was like, I think there's a reason I didn't get any access to the Halo demo, because I will lose it if this thing's bad, because this is literally Xbox. It's like, it's not even about like the console anymore. It's like, this is you. This is why you exist. This needs to be done not just good, not just great, not excellently, perfectly. And so when I see even things like frame rate, I'm like, oh, what are we doing here? Like, I wouldn't have even shown it if it had like those little doubts in there and then like 13 minutes of gameplay. But that's just me. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.